Everybody's open to page CA4 right now, and you can see that the title of the page here is Economic Geology of California. Okay, that term economic refers to something that is valuable, something that is worth money, something that's useful. Okay, and that relates back to our purpose today, which is that you guys will understand the value of geology in California. As we've been discussing for the past few weeks, there are resources that are formed through geologic processes known as the rock cycle that we've been studying, and these resources can be used for materials like the desks you're sitting at, the pencils that you're holding in your hands, and other daily objects that you guys use in your lives, okay, such as the power to fuel the energy in this room. Okay? This reading that we're going to be doing is only 2 pages, but it contains a lot of information. Okay? So we're going to use certain text features to go through what is called a dense reading, meaning there's a lot of information compacted into just these 2 pages. Okay? So the first thing I want to draw your attention to in this reading are the headings. Bless you. Okay? You see here that there are numerous headings, and I'm going to scan my reading, it's only 2 pages, to preview the main topics that we're going to be reading about this class, and then think about what I know about these topics. Okay? I see here the main heading of the reading is Economic Geology in California. So it's referring specifically to our state and the value of geologic resources. And then I see that there are further headings throughout the reading. It begins talking about mineral and energy resources. And then as I look ahead, I see 2 red headings, mineral resources and energy resources. Those are the same 2 topics that are brought up in this section right here. So I think that this reading is broken up into 2 major segments. One talking about the mineral resources on Earth, and one talking about the energy resources on Earth. I also want to make sure I'm paying attention to diagrams and pictures, so that way I'm referring my knowledge from my reading to the images that are going to help me explain what I'm supposed to understand. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to expect you guys to be able to read through this reading and use your skills, reading skills and note-taking skills, to be able to summarize or get the gist, the main idea of each of the topics that are addressed in the reading. So I'm going to start off by showing you how I would do it, okay, if I were reading it, and I'm going to show you my thought process as we do so, and then I'm going to have you guys try it on for yourselves, and we'll see how that works. Okay? So I'll read from this, and then I want to pick out the main information from this paragraph as I go ahead. The formation and distribution of almost all of California's valuable natural resources resulted from geologic processes. These processes include plate tectonic activity that is driven by Earth's internal thermal energy and surface processes that are driven by energy from the sun. California's abundant resources, minerals, energy, water, and living things support our lifestyles. Okay, so I'm thinking in my head now, there was a lot of information in that, and I want to summarize it in 1 to 2 bullet points. Okay, so as I go through, it describes the process that we've been learning about geology, but I think this last sentence right here really sums up what I want to say as an introductory kickoff into my reading. California's abundant resources, minerals, energy, water, and living things support our lifestyles. It goes through 4 major topics that we'll be reading about. Okay? So in my reading, or in my notes now, okay, and you guys can write along with me, I'm going to write that summary sentence that I just stated. California's abundant. What does that word mean? I'm thinking to myself, abundant resources, and I know that abundance refers to times when you have a lot of something. So we have in this state a lot of resources, okay? And it describes which type they are, just further ahead in the sentence. And it gives us 4. So they include, kind of putting it in my own words here, minerals. So that's where I'm thinking about back to what William said about gold. Gold is a mineral, okay? So it's minerals, energy, and I'm thinking back to what Victor told us about oil, water, and on this rainy day in California, I'm reminded of where our water comes from. And living things. So that is referring to me to what Samara said about we use the Central Valley to grow crops, okay, which support our lifestyle. Referring back to the reading and using the text features that I know about, I see that we're going to begin with a new heading. If I'm taking notes, okay, and I'm taking notes independently and I want to understand this, headings are a good spot for me to focus my thinking on my reading. So I see that this is about mineral and energy resources. I'm going to go ahead and write that as a new heading in my notes. And in the textbook, they bold the text, but we can't really bold our writing. So I'm thinking to myself, what's something I can do to make sure that I can highlight this in my own notes? So what could I do, Khalid?
Underline it.
Good, I could underline it, okay? And that will refer me back to it so that I can learn from it back for when I'm studying in the future, okay? So this time I'm going to read the paragraph and I'm going to expect you guys to be able to write a summary sentence about this paragraph, okay? And then you're going to share with each other what you've written and then we'll share out loud and see what you came up with. Now I'd like you to tell your neighbor, turn to your neighbor and tell your neighbor what you've written and compare what you've written to what your neighbor has written and then maybe make a revision to what you have, or an addition. Good, so you have slightly different, but they're on the same topics, right? So do you think you need to make any changes between you two? No, I think you're perfectly fine having what you have because these are independent notes. That's how you understand the reading. I saw a lot of people having different things written down, but they were about the same topic and they're all well described. So remember, you don't need in your notes to have the same exact thing as your neighbor, but you have to have something that you understand. Okay? So what I'd like you all to do now, okay, is to continue going through your reading. And as you go, make sure that you are using headings. Okay? For example, our next topic is mineral resources. Are you going to want to put a new heading that you're going to underline on this? Yeah. You're going to want to rewrite that heading and then go through one paragraph at a time, summarizing the main idea of each paragraph as you read. If you get to the end of a paragraph and you're unsure or you did not understand something that was written about, you can do exactly what we just did as a class, and you can turn to your neighbor and share the information that you have and ask them if that's the same thing that they got and if they understand what you've written. And times 1 million. That's the value.